Hello, I'm Nathan Leahy, and welcome to Next Week in Gaming. So next week's first release is on Monday the 7th of March, and this is by Developers Peace. This is called Case Number 8, which as it turns out is remarkably difficult to find on YouTube specifically, because it seems to be a very widely used name. And this is a adventure sort of puzzle-focused horror game, probably one I will never play because after Soma, can't do it, just can't do that stuff anymore. And this, the write-up is quite short, but it's quite simple. You're some person, doesn't say who, and you're in this underground prison, which is supposedly impossible to escape. Now, this is going to go in one of two ways. Either it's claiming to be impossible to escape, and it is, in which case playing the entire game is pointless, and you'll just be revealing a bunch of stuff about this prison, and the ending's going to suck. Or it's going to be impossible in that no one else has escaped it before, but you're going to. There's quite a number of scripted events I've noticed in the trailer, but equally quite a lot of puzzles and some, just general world development stuff going on. So it may actually be a reasonably good horror title, but I will never find out because anything with horror in the title is just can't do it. Can't do it. Soma was enough. So feel free to let us know how that one turns out. So next up, releasing on Tuesday the 8th of March is the main big AAA title of next week, which is Tom Clancy's The Division, which for the most part I'm not really that interested in, mainly because throughout the beta we've seen some gameplay videos, we've seen some generic stuff, and can't quite get behind that rather bullet spongy effect stuff. So this game has been hyped quite a bit, not quite as much as No Man's Sky, for example, but it has been sort of pushed in the media a lot, which is just down to the fact that these AAA games have enormous marketing budgets. But I kind of feel like this is going to be one of those games. It's like Ubisoft are trying to do a Destiny, except I think they're going to struggle to get the success that Destiny's had. And, overall it feels a little bit weak. I'm not going to do a review on the game or anything. It's just a generic It's just a generic third-person shooter with bullet spongy enemies and random stuff. Just go play the beta, go check out the gameplay video, see if you like it, read some people's reviews. Unfortunately, there won't be any reviews on release day because they made up some nonsense about reviewers not having a nice populated world, which is solved by getting lots of reviewers to populate the world. But whatever, basically they want to get loads of day one purchases, and not have to deal with people going, oh, hey, the review says your game is kind of average, so maybe not. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to pay any attention to this game, but by all means, go and check it out. But I do implore you to wait for some reviews. Also releasing on Tuesday the 8th of March is a game by Wadjet Eye Games, which is probably one of the most fantastic developer titles ever. And this is like sort of an old school 8-bit style, very gritty art, survival game. Well, not kind of survival. It's a point-and-click adventure game at the core, but it's all about a sort of a believable post-apocalyptic environment where everything's ruled by this aristocratic party and the richest people are kept alive simply because they're rich and are abused for their money and power, while the poorest live in squalor. And you play this person called Amy who works for the government, and the only reason she does that is so she can take part in the vaccine lottery, which means she might get vaccines for diseases that are as yet untitled. But it looks like a really, really fantastic looking game. As I said before, the art style is just very gritty, very grungy, and it all just looks very wonderful. If you're into point and clicks, I know it's kind of become a bit of a niche market these days. Definitely looks like a game that's worth picking up. I know RPS have covered it quite a lot recently, so go ahead and check out some of their preview articles and stuff like that, but definitely well worth a look. So releasing on Thursday the 10th of March is a little tiny bit of DLC that's well worth checking out, and this is the Necron Lord DLC for the Warhammer 40k, Dawn of War 2, Retribution, The Last Stand standalone. Also for if you have Retribution, The Last Stand, whatever, the whole game. This is going to be free for a couple of days and then you'll have to buy it afterwards. For those of you who have never played Last Stand, you basically sit in the middle of an arena, you and 3 other players, and you control just a single hero which has like these abilities which are sort of configured by the amount of items and how you configure stuff. It's really good. It's quite cool. Everyone should try Last Stand just because it's a fantastic little game mode for wasting a few hours, and I'm probably going to spend loads of time this weekend probably not reviewing, playing this simply because Necron Lord is cool. Necrons are cool, Tower cool, very rarely covered in a lot of Dawn of War games. So go ahead and check that out this weekend. It's small, cheap, tiny, well worth the fun. It's pretty entertaining, and bizarrely, loads of people still play it. So yeah, go check that one out. Go take a look at some gameplay videos. You'll get the general gist. Finally releasing on Friday the 11th of March is IO Interactive's first episode of the Hitman series, of the 5 or 6 games that will be the new Hitman stuff in their new little episodic release that Square Enix are pushing so much these days. I have played around with the beta. I know a lot of people have been playing around with the beta, particularly if you pre-ordered, but I got like a review key. And I will be doing a review of it, but not until like a week after the game has come out, mainly because it felt a little bit clunky in the beta, and I just feel like it could use that week, and I'm not 100% sure whether I'll actually get full access to the game until launch day anyway, so I might have to postpone it regardless. So far the game feels kind of like the same as Absolution, except at this stage Absolution felt more polished, but I can't give you a final answer on how good the game is because I've only had access to, you know, the beta builds, so I can't say whether the full game is nice and smooth and silky or not. But for the most part, it feels like they haven't really answered a whole lot of the problems that were in Absolution. They've kind of made it a little bit less streamlined and a little bit more, I guess, but each of those different paths that you can take to complete an objective feel very much like forced paths still, which is a little bit of a problem. But, you know, them first episode might be terrible, it might be average, it might be good, you never know, and then it might get progressively better. So just wait for an extra week on top of our usual review schedule, and we'll have a review out for episode 1 soon. And finally, onto our review title, which will be published on Thursday, the 10th of March at 12:30 GMT, is Blood Alloy Reborn. Now, one of the main things I miss from my childhood is Contra. Loads and loads of times, me and my friends, we all get together, we find an emulator, and we sit and we play Contra just because it was awesome, it was fast-paced. Now, this isn't like a direct dive into Contra. It just reminded me of it because of the art style, but this is quite Metroidvania style game. You know, it's all about those points, the quick movement, the crazy guns, shooting at silly angles, and it just looks cool. It feels awesome, it feels old school, and it just feels so refreshing. And it's been quite a few weeks where I've just been playing quite simplistic, very entertaining, very simple titles, and they've been enjoyable and they've been good, and it's felt good. So I thought, hey, this game looks awesome, it's out soon, let's review it, because why not continue the streak of awesome stuff? Hopefully it will be fantastic. I could be surprised, it could be terrible, but I have a pretty good feeling about this, so go ahead and wait for our review of that next Thursday. So that's it from us at NextPowerUp. Join us next week on Thursday for our weekly review of Blood Alloy Reborn, and of course next week on Saturday for our next Week in Gaming episode. As usual, leave your comments in the section below for what you guys have been playing. I've literally just come back from a Friday Night Magic, hence the incredibly red rings around my eyes, because damn, it is about 1 AM. Went for 2 for 2 again, but this time I was playing a janky deck because my main deck is a little bit in pieces at the moment, and I'm waiting to buff it up to make it into a little bit of a slower landfall deck. But for the most part, I will probably be playing Blood Alloy for the review stuff, and also jumping into Last Stand because got to play some of that Necron Lord. Other than that, the Path of Exile expansion released today. It might have released today or previously, I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to check that out. But yeah, Path of Exile expansion's coming out soon, so you guys might want to check that out. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this video today, and we'll see you guys next week.